Sleep is really important. It's a really important part of your daily routine. To me, getting enough sleep at night is one of the top 3 things you can do for your total health. And you spend about a third of your life doing it, so obviously it's important if you're spending that much time sleeping. Getting enough quality sleep is as vital to our survival as eating food and drinking water, and that is because it helps the brain rest. Your brain and your body need time to cope with the stressors that occur throughout the day and all the information that the brain takes in. Before we had technology like we do now, like when I was growing up and smartphones didn't exist, and you had to dial into the phone line to get internet, I could go home and just turn everything off. I didn't have to be on a device or take in new information like you guys are getting today. Your brains are constantly taking in new information, whether that be for school or just on TikTok or other social media platforms. So it's really important for you to get sleep so that your brain has time to rest and process everything it experienced throughout the day. We need that processing time when your brain's not taking in new information. Recent research also suggests that sleep plays an important role in getting rid of the toxins that build up in our brains during our waking hour, or the hours that we're awake. There are 2 basic types of sleep that we go through: rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep, and non-REM sleep, which has 3 different stages. Each type is linked to specific brain waves and neuronal activity, and we typically cycle through all of these stages several times during a night's sleep, with increasingly longer and deeper REM periods occurring towards the morning. So stage 1 is a non-REM type of sleep. This is a changeover from wakefulness to sleep. It's very short, it only lasts a few minutes, and it's our lightest sleep that we enter into. So it's very easy to be woken up because we still have a high self-awareness of the things that are going on around us. But during stage 1, our heartbeat, breathing, and eye movement slow. So our bodies start to slow everything down. Our muscles start to relax and might occasionally twitch. If you've ever seen someone starting to fall asleep, you might see their muscles starting to twitch. Stage 2 is another non-REM stage of sleep. This is the period of light sleep before entering into a deep sleep. Heartbeat and breathing slows, our muscles relax even further, body temperature drops lower, and eye movement stops completely. Our brain activity also slows, but it might spike really quickly every once in a while because of a burst of electrical activity. This is called a sleep spindle, but for the most part, our brain activity slows. We also spend more of our repeated sleep cycles in stage 2 of sleep than any other stage of sleep. Stage 3 is the last non-REM stage of sleep. This is the period of deep sleep that you really need to feel refreshed in the morning. So it's our deepest sleep that we enter into. It occurs for longer periods during the first half of the night, and this is where heartbeat and breathing are at their lowest and slowest levels. Our muscles are also so relaxed that it might be difficult to be woken up, and our brain waves or brain activity is also at its lowest level. Stage 4 is the only REM stage of sleep. It first occurs about 90 minutes after falling asleep and is characterized by the eyes moving rapidly from side to side behind closed eyelids, hence the name rapid eye movement. Interestingly enough, our brainwave activity increases. It becomes closer to the levels that we see when we are awake. So our brain activity picks up. Our breathing also increases and becomes more irregular. Heartbeat and blood pressure rise to near waking levels as well. We also do a lot of dreaming in our REM stage of sleep. We can really dream in any stage of sleep, but we have our most vivid dreams during the REM stage of sleep. So because of this, our body temporarily paralyzes itself, your arms and your legs, to prevent you from acting out your dreams. As you age, you spend less time of your sleeping hours, so less of your sleeping time in that REM stage. Lastly, memory consolidation most likely requires both non-REM and REM types of sleep. There are 2 internal biological mechanisms that control and regulate when we are asleep and when we are awake. Their circadian rhythm does a lot of different things for our body, not only with our sleep, but it also controls our body temperature, how we metabolize food, and how we release hormones as well. But we often associate the circadian rhythm with the timing of our sleep. So this is what causes you to become more sleepy at night or in low light settings, and the tendency to wake without an alarm in the morning, especially when the sun is up. It's synced to an individual's own internal biological clock, which is roughly based on a 24-hour day. It also synchronizes with environmental cues like light and temperature. So even if, for example, we're in a really bright area, that's going to affect how sleepy we feel. If we're in a really warm or too cold area, that will also affect how sleepy we are or not. Sleep-wake homeostasis, also known as a sleep drive, is the other mechanism that keeps track of your body's need for sleep. So this is what reminds our body to sleep after a certain period of time you are awake for. So it gets stronger every hour you are awake and causes you to sleep longer and deeper after a period of sleep deprivation, or when we're not getting enough sleep. There are, however, some factors that can influence your sleep drive and your circadian rhythm. For example, having a medical condition where you take a certain medication can affect our ability to sleep. Experiencing a lot of stress or being in a sleep environment that is not conducive to sleep will affect how much sleep we get and our ability to fall asleep as well. For example, trying to sleep in an area with loud noises or that's really bright can change your sleep drive or how sleepy you feel and your ability to fall asleep, especially to enter into that really deep stage 3 of sleep. This also includes what you eat and drink. If someone's drinking a lot of caffeine during the day, that's going to affect their ability to fall asleep, and especially their ability to enter that stage 3 of sleep. So even if they are able to fall asleep, they're probably not going to spend very much time or even enter into that really deep sleep that our bodies need to feel refreshed. Dreaming. Everybody dreams. We spend about 2 hours each night dreaming, but most of us don't remember a lot of things about our dreams. We can keep what's called a sleep journal, where you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is write down everything you remember about your dreams, and that's supposed to help you remember more about what you dream at night. We still don't know why we dream. Its exact purpose still isn't known, but one of the theories out there is that it helps us process our emotions. We also know that the events from our day often invade our thoughts during sleep. For example, people suffering from a lot of stress and anxiety are more likely to have scary dreams. And while dreaming can happen in all stages of sleep, they're usually most vivid during our REM cycle of sleep, which is stage 4. Fun fact, some people dream in color, while others only recall dreams in black and white. So how much sleep do we actually need? I'm going to tell you that there's no magic number that exists that works for everybody, because it is really based on an individual person. Our need for sleep and our sleep patterns change as a person ages and varies from person to person. What is the magic number for that person is the magic number for that person. For example, I feel refreshed after 7 hours or 9 hours. If I get 8 hours of sleep, I feel like I woke up in the middle of my cycle and I have a hard time functioning throughout the day. So you probably know what your magic number of hours is, and that's what works for you. It's different for every single person. But there are some ranges depending upon the age that somebody is at in their development. So for example, babies tend to need the most sleep between 16 to 18 hours a day because they're going through the most growth and development, especially their brain development. School-age children and teenagers need on average about 9.5 hours per night. Again, that varies for each person. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours a night, and after 60, our nighttime sleep tends to be shorter, lighter, and interrupted by multiple awakenings. Elderly adults are also more likely to take medications that interfere with sleep, so they tend to get less sleep. In general, if we look at our population, people are getting less sleep than they need to due to longer work hours and the availability of the round-the-clock entertainment and other activities that we have in those nice little devices we all own. People do also feel they can catch up on the weekends, but depending upon the severity of our sleep deprivation during the week, the weekend might not be enough to catch up on those hours. This is not good because we know sleep is really important. Here's what the research tells. We know that not getting enough sleep is linked to higher body weight. Poor sleepers also tend to have an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. It affects our ability to metabolize or process the sugar or glucose that we eat during the day, and when we can't do that as well, that increases our risk of type 2 diabetes. Poor sleep is linked to an increased risk of depression. It increases inflammation in our body and affects our emotions and social interactions. We also know that getting enough sleep at night has lots of benefits for our bodies. People who get enough sleep tend to eat fewer calories during the day. Their sleep improves their concentration and productivity, which you can probably feel on days when you get a good night's sleep before school versus when you don't. It can maximize our athletic performance and improves our immune system function. So our immune system is able to fight off more effectively that bacteria, viruses, and parasites that we might contract during the day. So if you're someone who doesn't get enough sleep at night, what are some things you can do to change your habits? So here are my tips for getting a good night's sleep. You want to use your bed just for sleeping, not doing other things, not doing homework, not reading, not playing games or talking on your phone or watching Netflix or whatever it is that you're doing in your bed on your devices. When you use your bed for things that are not sleep, you associate your bed with those other things like reading, like playing games, like talking on the phone, watching Netflix, whatever it may be, and not with sleeping. So you really want your body to associate bed with just sleeping. You also want to avoid drinking anything with caffeine in it too late in the day. Research kind of says around 3 o'clock is where you should start to limit or not have caffeine. When you have caffeine too late in the day, it will affect your circadian rhythm and your sleep drive, so it's harder to fall asleep at night. And also, it affects your body's ability to stay asleep and enter into that really deepest stage 3 of sleep that we need to feel refreshed. You also want to have some sort of relaxation routine that you do before bed, whether that be taking a warm bath or shower, reading a book, or something else that is going to bring your brain and your body back down into that calm state. That's going to make it easier to fall asleep and enter into that deepest sleep, that stage 3 of sleep that we need to feel refreshed. What you also want to do is avoid things that emit blue light, like on our devices. That blue light actually does impede our ability to fall asleep and to enter into that deepest sleep, so we really want to turn those things off about an hour before we are going to shut the lights off. You want to set a schedule. You want to kind of keep those sleeping and waking times consistent, which for me is the most difficult one because I get up really early for 0 hour during the work week. I'm not going to get up that early during the week or on the weekends. But you want to try to keep those as consistent as you possibly can. You also want to create a sleep atmosphere in your room. So you don't want your room to have bright lights, or wherever you're sleeping to have really bright lights, loud sounds. It's also important to keep your room at a comfortable temperature. So cooler temperatures are easier to fall asleep and stay asleep at than warmer temperatures. And then again, with those blue light items, you want to not have a TV or computer in your room. You want to turn off our devices at least an hour before bedtime so that you can fall asleep easier and enter into that deepest sleep. Lastly, exercise is really great for getting a good night's sleep. Exercising about 20 to 30 minutes a day can help you fall asleep faster and get into that, again, stage 3 deep sleep that we need to feel refreshed. However, you don't want to exercise later than a few hours before your bedtime because exercising amps our body up. It actually wakes our body up for a time after we're done, so we don't want to be doing that too close to when we're falling asleep. Otherwise, it's going to make it harder to fall asleep. But don't take it from me. Take it from Kobe.